everyone. My name is Jean Rojas, and I am back as event moderator. And supporting me tonight are Alisa Corsino as co-moderator, Ruel Jimenez, and Robert Salvador for IT support. Both gentlemen serve as PCC board members. This is our second installment in a series on building young Filipino-Canadians' resilience through entrepreneurship. If you missed last night's session with Professor Chris Dore, you could still watch it via PCC's Facebook page. The session last night was packed with a number of tips and resources that you may find useful. So I encourage you to go to the PCC Facebook page and view the recording. Similar to last night's event, this event is live streamed on PCC's Facebook page. If you have questions or comments, you could post them on Facebook. This event would run for about 1 hour and would be recorded and uploaded later on in the PCC's learning management system. By participating in this event, you consent that your name or your image might be captured in our recording. At this point, we are pivoting from a more general presentation on youth entrepreneurship to actual experiences of young Filipino-Canadian entrepreneurs. Tonight, we are so honored to have with us as our guest, Andrea Mapili. She's playwright, movement director, choreographer, and dancer based in Toronto. In 2017, she choreographed Cassette 100, a 100, hang on. This is Cassette 100 is actually a play that she wrote. And
That's 100 is a
Cassette 100, a 100-person inter-arts piece, yes, at the Young Center for the Performing Arts.
Yeah.
Yes, and moreover, Andrea co-authored Boo, which premiered at the 2019 Toronto Fringe Festival, where she also served as the movement director and assistant director. And in this coming spring, we're pleased to announce that Through the Bamboo will be published by Playwrights Canada Press. So there's a lot of things that we are expecting from Andrea this year. Andrea is a registered somatic movement educator, a Tamalpa practitioner. We're going to ask her what these things are later. And speaker who offers private coaching and group workshops, specializing in embodied public speaking, somatic awareness, connected communication, and creativity for health and wellness. Wow, Andrea, this is such a remarkable profile.
Wow, so, thank you for the beautiful intro, Jean.
Yeah, so let's start our conversation. Okay.
Sure.
Tell us about yourself. What's your childhood like? And at that time when you were a kid, what's your worldview? And what did you think at that time would be your potential contribution to the world?
Yeah, okay. Dive right in. It's so exciting. Okay, hello everyone. By the way, I just want to give a big shout out to everyone who's here watching. This is about resilience. I love that. I love that word. And I think resilience is an important quality of an entrepreneur. So we'll talk about resilience a lot in the next hour, I'm sure. So my childhood, oh my goodness. I was born in the Philippines and I moved here when I was 4 years old. I had an incredible childhood because I had parents who really were so supportive of my potential and of what I could become. They didn't put any limits or boundaries on me, and so I'm so grateful for that. I will say though that I put boundaries on myself, and so I remember this one particular instance when I was in high school, and this will be very telling. This is like a moment where it like changed everything. I went home. I was in high school. I went home and I was like so proud and so excited. And I went to my mom and I declared that, Mom, I'm going to be a doctor. And I said it like that. I'm going to be a doctor. And instead of getting the reaction that I thought I was going to get, which was like, just a proud mom. My mother, in all of her wisdom, looked at me and said, huh, sure, okay, that sounds good. And that was like the opposite of the reaction that I thought I was going to get. And it made me take pause, because I realized that maybe I was missing something, because of my mother's reaction. And so my mom said to me, she said, I always just thought that you would use your talents and your artistry uh, to impact the world, maybe with your voice, impact it in a way that was rooted in your skill set. And she said, but if you want to be a doctor, you really truly want to be a doctor, I am super happy. And so, like any good teenager, I did not listen to my mother, and I enrolled in university in a bio program, and I was on the way to becoming a doctor. And it wasn't until I was in you know towards the end of my university degree that some like my next kind of life-changing event happened. And this event was that my grandfather passed away in the Philippines. And my grandfather is, his name is Jose Maceda, and is a national artist in the Philippines. So that is also why I think I grew up in a family where arts was really appreciated and not shied away from. But it was the first time that I went to the Philippines and was surrounded by my grandfather's colleagues and his students. And I remember feeling just in so much awe, of all of the people that I was surrounded by, because it was the first time in my life that I had been surrounded by artists and thinkers. And I was just incredibly, incredibly taken with the way that they spoke about the world, the way that they spoke about their livelihoods and their perspectives on things. So I had these incredible conversations while I was there. And I realized that I had been basing my career path on what I defined at the time as success. And at the time, I defined success in 3 ways. The first way was like, pick a career that's honorable and noble, pick a career that is impactful in some sort of way, and pick a career that earns you lots of money, and that's success, right? That's what I thought success was. So noble, impactful, money, success. When I went to the Philippines and I met all of these incredible artists and thinkers, what I realized was all of them spoke with so much passion about their livelihoods. It affected them deeply. It came from a place where they just believed in their work. They believed in what they were doing, because for some reason, they had a passion, not for some reason, they had a passion for what they were doing. And so I redefined what success was for me. That was the beginning. That was the beginning of my path to doing what I do now. And I realized that the way that I was defining success before had nothing to do with who I was. It had nothing to do with me. And it had everything to do with outside in, what I thought I should be doing, as opposed to what I wanted to do, what I was good at, what I was interested in, and ultimately what I was passionate about. So to answer your question, I thought I was going to be a doctor, and I ended up being an artist. And I have to thank my family for helping me find my way and helping me on this path of self-discovery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Andrea, somebody said that you're a composite of all these things that happened to you in the past, right? And then moving forward, you're looking at your world through that lens, whatever things that happened to you in the past. You mentioned that you've got an academic background in biology, and you're now a dancer. You're a movement artist. So
Yes.
how does that background contributed to your craft right now?
Oh, what a great question. I love this question because people often think that science and art are so different and so far apart from each other in philosophy. But I actually have taken a lot of my science background into the way that I create art. Both science and art ask the question why. You know, they ask the question why. It's just a different medium of finding an answer. And so I have used art to question the world around me, and I have used art to uncover uh, really important truths about myself, about the world, and then share it with the world as well. So I think that I use my science background all the time. I also, a few years ago, I wrote a mini play for this festival called Wrecking Ball, which is a political theater. And I was invited to write a play. And I wrote my play called The Progeny Protocol, which is all about uh, DNA and how this article in current events, it was an article out of a paper, was talking about this discovery of uh, this kind of like basically like a DNA scissors that are now like a thing in this world. That sounds very science fiction, but these DNA kind of scissors that allow you to snip DNA and put DNA together in this like very cheap way, and that this is sort of the way of the future. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but this is like a couple of years ago. And my science brain just like nearly exploded. I was so excited to about write about science in an artful way. And so I think, to answer your question, I use my science background all the time in process and also in, oh, there, yes, that's my play, Progeny Protocol. Thank you. Uh, I use it all the time in both the process and as inspiration for what I like to create.
Tell us about this particular picture, for example.
Yeah.
Where is this stage? When did it happen?
Oh
And
my
who are
goodness.
your target audience?
This was okay. So the wrecking ball that I took part in, I think that was 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. I'm not quite sure. 3 years ago, I think. And this is in the middle of the play. So what's interesting about Wrecking Ball is it's produced by artists, and it kind of asks, or it not asks, you, the artists actually ask a bunch of playwrights to come together and create a play within a week. So from the start of when you are asked to the time that it is put up on stage, it's 1 week. Well, and so it's like, you know, very, very busy, very exciting. You're up all night writing, 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 and then you're getting actors together and directors. And it was in response to the slow nature of playwriting and the theater, and that's sometimes the impulse of what from which we write from. So the inspiration sometimes is so far removed from the actual finished product that they wanted to find a way to have the impulse and the final product be so close together. So it became what is now called the Wrecking Ball Festival.
Before I ask Bea for her questions, because she does have a number of questions for you. Going back to Wrecking Ball,
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, is this creation of art for art's sake, or are you targeting a particular audience? And since this is entrepreneurship, are you targeting a particular market for this play?
Specifically for Wrecking Ball, I mean, I think because I'm a part of a festival, that is art for art's sake because it's talking about process and impulse. That is art for art's sake. That is not necessarily to say that it doesn't have an audience, right? It's always sold out, so there is an audience for that. But the impulse for the creation of the art itself is art for art's sake. For me as an artist, I will definitely say that I am not removed from the audience. I always think about my audience when I'm um, creating, because I want to I want to send a message. I want to have an impact, and I create with that in mind. That
Yeah.
is not to say that I don't believe in art for art's sake, but I think that there's a place for both within an artist's profile. Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. And in a way, that's market niching, right?
that's true.
Yeah, having an audience in mind and then creating something for that audience, even if
Absolutely.
it's very narrow. Yeah, that's market niching. And so I'm turning over to Alyssa because Alyssa has a quite some provocative question, I think.
Well, Andrea, you're a registered somatic movement educator, and I've
Yes.
personally benefited a lot from somatic therapy. So, could you
Oh,
tell us a little bit about what the somatic modality is, and why did you decide to incorporate it into your business?
yeah, sure. Thank you. Okay, so trying to understand somatic work is easiest to be explained as the connection between the mind and the body, right? So we are trying to bridge the gap between a very digital world where we are constantly on our minds, in our heads. The way that we're taught is about really using our minds and really kind of forgetting about our bodies. So somatic work brings into alignment how we think and how we live in our bodies. My work also is takes into account and aligns with the feeling body as well. So my work is all about the alignment or aligning, because I like the verb better, aligning the mind, the body, and the emotions. And when we do that, then we're able to not only connect with ourselves better, but we're able to then connect with others in a more authentic and uh, confident way. So I teach, a lot of different embodiment types of works. One of them being communication. So that's communication uh, within within just like within relationships. But then I also teach public speaking because that's a wonderful form of expression. And when I teach public speaking, I teach it from this holistic point of view, and understanding that when you're speaking, you're not just speaking at, but you're trying to connect with. And so the way that you connect with others is to first connect with yourself. And that's where that somatic work really comes in. I decided to take that or incorporate that into my body of work because I honestly, take you many years back, I started to act a little bit. I started to write a little bit, but I was still in that like, who am I phase? What am I doing? What do I love? What am I trying to discover? And there was something missing in the way that I was interacting with the work. What I was interested in from a child, I've always been interested in the question, why do people do what they do? And I went into science and I actually started really being interested in genetics. So I took a lot of genetics in university as well. And at that point, I was trying to figure out why people do what they do. Uh, and I was looking at the science behind it, genetics, DNA, like from that like cellular level. Why do we do what we do? And then later on, when I was starting to really become interested in the ways that artists would ask questions and discover and explore ideas, I started to think of and I started to research what was out there in the world about how can arts how can the arts really inform us of why we do what we do. And so I found this institute called the Tamalpa Institute, which is based in California, and I attended their program. So I'm a Tamalpa practitioner, and they are a movement based awareness and therapy education institute. And so it uses dance as its base, so movement as its base to understand all other things. It incorporates lots of different art mediums, and it works with all of those art mediums to really bridge the gap between your inner life and your outer expression of it.
Yeah, thanks for that. I think that's very relevant, especially as a young Filipino-Canadian, or just like is part of the youth, and growing up with social media and phones, and how we can really be disconnected from our body.
Yeah.
So recommend somatic therapy to
How did
everyone.
you find out about it?
Um, Honestly, just following a bunch of therapists on Instagram, and my therapist is also a somatic practitioner.
Amazing.
So yeah, we do practices even over the phone. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's
Yeah.
helped a lot. And I've started doing yoga, and yeah.
Yeah. It's incredible what happens when we close our eyes and breathe. An entire world opens up to us.
Right. Like intentional breathing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So this alignment between the mind and the body and the emotional body is so potent, and it's really allows us to be empowered in what we want to, in how we want to be in the world.
You.
Hurry up, because this melding of science and the creative arts, this internalization of things, of emotions, and how you express it to the world around you. I'm just wondering, um, what was the point when you realized that you could actually make a livelihood out of this craft? And I think, to paraphrase my question, what was the point when you realized that you could be an entrepreneur out of these skills and out of this background?
Yes, the point. I don't think there was a moment, there wasn't a moment where I was like, yes, this is it. It was several moments, several months, several tries and doing different things, because I was interested in the arts. When you're an artist in Canada, you're like automatically an entrepreneur because you're not funded by anybody. You don't join a a company. Not really. There's very few instances where you can join a company and be an artist. You're generally an artist, you're an entrepreneur, and you're out there trying to find opportunities for yourself to earn a living. So there is a point, as an artist, I definitely had multiple jobs. I was constantly wearing many hats. I still wear many hats to this day, but I, at the beginning, when I was really thinking about my entrepreneurship life, my artist life, I thought of the arts, and then I went to school to learn about somatic work. And then at that point, when I got back, I realized that I could really make a coaching business, a facilitation business out of the somatic work, and then have my artist business, and have them go hand in hand. And I think that because I was always interested in teaching, I was always interested in facilitation, in coaching, that lent itself very easily to the idea of being an entrepreneur, because then I was, you know, marketing myself as someone who had workshops that could help people, that could uh, serve others in their journeys. And so that started me on on this path of true entrepreneurship in its, um, most common definition. I think as an artist, you're just always an entrepreneur, and you kind of have to be like, where can I make money? Can I go on auditions? Am I an actor? Am I a writer? Where can I submit my writing? How can I produce my own things? How can I share it? There's as an artist, you're always trying to find avenues of income. One of them, and I think this is really might be helpful for whoever is watching this, is as you create and put out into the world, you will then you will be part of the artist community, and there's lots of funding available to professional artists in Canada. And so that's really important for all of you to know, if you don't know this, that you can apply for grants, government grants, to fund your artistry. And there are three levels of of government funding available to artists. So there's on the local municipal level, there's the provincial level, and then there's Canada Council for the Arts. And so at each level, there's granting there's granting opportunities to have or to receive funds for the process of developing work, and then also to help you produce work to be seen. I am particularly knowledgeable, or I have experience, I'm not that knowledgeable, experience in the theater section of the granting bodies. So I can speak a little bit more to the theater section of these granting bodies, but there is definitely there's definitely money available for all different streams of art.
Mhm. Do you have any training on business, for example, or you just acquired it as you practice your profession or your craft?
I I have no formal training in terms of business in like a from a university or a college level, but I have done so many business courses online because as an entrepreneur, you are your entire corporation and you have to be open. I think that's one of the biggest qualities or the most important qualities of being an entrepreneur is that you have to be open to learning all the time. And so you are your human resources department, you are your billing department, you are you are your marketing department. And if you don't know how to build a website, you better learn how to build a website or outsource it as quickly as possible. So business training, I have taken lots of different courses, and there's so many courses online these days. And I highly recommend going out and finding a course that speaks directly to your industry, your kind of industry that you want, because there's so many. But I also think that something that is more accessible is finding people in the industry that you're interested in, find them online, find their Instagram, find their websites, find them on social media anywhere, and start to follow them and see what they're doing, see how they are interacting with their audience, see when they put out offers for whatever product or service they are offering. And that kind of research is invaluable to an entrepreneur, to see what is already out there and how it's being delivered.
And when we had this pre-interview, you mentioned about
Yeah.
this play that you co-authored with
Yeah.
your husband, and it's going to be published soon, right? And I believe it's going to be out sometime in spring. I mentioned it during the introduction. Through
Yes.
the Bamboo. Can you please tell us more about that? And what's your plan for that play? Because from, shall I say, from the market perspective, I could see that there's a lot of potential for that play. So what's your plan?
Thanks, Jean. That's so exciting to hear someone thinks it's great. Through the Bamboo is a family tale. So it's a play that we wrote about a 12-year-old Filipino-Canadian girl named Philly. And in the first few moments of this play, her Lola, her beloved Lola, dies, and she is left with a heap of grief to deal with. And she's 12 years old and she doesn't know what is going on. She has all of these feelings, and she hears, the voice of her dead Lola calling to her through this book that her Lola used to read to her. She hears it, she follows the voice very similarly to Alice in Wonderland. She opens up a book and flies magically through a portal into a world, into a fantastical world filled with mythical Filipino creatures called Uwi. And in this world, she tries to save her Lola, save the world, and get home back to her mother. And it is really a tale, a quest of Philly trying to save her Lola, and really it's about her grieving journey. That is this play. It was our dream, my husband Byron's and my dream, to write an epic story that was filled with Filipino actors, filled with Filipino creatures, filled with a Filipino-Canadian identity, and to have it be up in on as many stages as possible. We were lucky to have Playwrights Canada Press approach us, which is the publishing house in Canada, approach us after they saw the play, and they just loved the play and wanted to produce it. So we are so excited to have the play bound as a book form, to be released this spring. Ah, man, what does Through the Bamboo want to become next? Listen, I am open. So if it wants to be any other thing, I am happy to let it spread its wings and become what it wants to become. For now, though, ever since COVID-19, theater has been hit pretty hard. Theater asks us to be crammed in a tight space with many people in person. So theater has been hit particularly hard during this as an industry. And so, Through the Bamboo right now, as a play, it doesn't have a trajectory to go from here. You don't know where it's going to go. And so, like every artist has had to do, we've had to pivot and to get creative and innovative. I have actually taken all of my business online. So, what's really interesting about theater is that theater artists are now putting their work online as well, which, is that a movie? Is that a TV? No, it's theater, but it's online. It's theater on film, which is a separate genre that is sort of being created right now, which is really exciting. And as for me, I am writing a lot. I am here writing, and I've also just started a series over on my Instagram, Mindful Abandon. So if you want to go check it out, it's called As She Sleeps. I am a mother of an 18-month-old. Right after Through the Bamboo was produced, I had my daughter Mayari, and I have started a series that As She Sleeps, I am sharing my connection exercises and practices with the digital world. I'm sharing all the things that I do to stay as grounded and connected with myself as possible. So that's a way that I've pivoted my work, and still trying to put content out into the world. Another thing that we have done that is different, because we have to, it's a digital, everything is online now. A few weeks ago in January, we were asked my husband and I were asked by a theater festival here in Toronto, the Fringe Festival, to be a part of their self-care hub. And they wanted us to host a wake up and dance party. A wake up and dance party is a thing that Byron and I created a long time ago in 2013. One day we woke up and we were like, oh, that's a good song. It was Alicia Keys' Reckless Love. Shout out. Alicia Keys' Reckless Love. We danced the whole song, and then we went about our days. At the end of the day, we came back together and we realized that both of us had had an incredible day. And so we thought, hey, let's wake up tomorrow and do it again. And so we did. And we had a good day. And then we did it again and again. And a week later, we're like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then a month later, we were like, that's really great. Let's share it online. And so we started to post our playlists. We started doing once a week video of us dancing, and it became our wake up and dance practice that we shared with the world. After a year of doing that, we hosted our first ever live in-person Wake Up and Dance Jam, which was a dance party at 10 a.m. Where it was literally just like dance, 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 and have a good time with lots of coffee and coffee cake. And it was fantastic. The year after that, we did it again, and then we did it again. And after 3 years of this practice, we were like, oh, okay, like we've built and created this wonderful thing. Now, cut to just, we cut to this year, or the end of last year. The Fringe reached out to us and said, do you guys still want to do that? but can we make it digital? And so we hosted a live Zoom wake up and dance party, and it was wonderful. We hosted it in our condo. We had a DJ who created an incredible playlist, and we had a lot of people show up and use dance as a way to feel connected in their bodies, to have fun, to find joy, and to just like let it loose. And so there's ways, I think, that we have become, or ways that we have had to pivot during this time to still create and release content that we believe in, that we believe that will help others, that will impact others, and that remains true to our artistic vision.
Yeah. You're able to, and pretty much successful in doing so, to carve a niche in the artistic landscape here in Canada. So I'm just wondering, is there anything else that you would like to achieve? And then that's my first question. And then my next question is, I just would like to connect that with what you mentioned earlier about your definition of success. Yeah, because by saying that I would like to achieve this because I would like to be successful, what exactly do you mean by success as you move forward?
Yeah. Oh, that's what a lovely question. My goodness, that's such a great question. Thank you. What am I looking to do in the future? I want to create. I want to keep creating from. I want to keep creating from a place where it feeds my soul, so it feeds my passion. As an artist, I really want to make sure that I'm passionate about what I'm doing. What I've found over the years, because now I've been in this game for quite a long time, is that uh, the sweet spot of what you're passionate about and what addresses some sort of need is what creates a really successful business, right? So you have to, I really, really stand by this, that you have to be passionate about what you're doing, because you're doing it day in and day out. And life is really long when you have a job that you don't like, when you have a job that you're like not passionate about. And it's, as an entrepreneur, you will give up if you don't like what you're doing, if you're not passionate about it at all. So I would like to keep refining my idea of my big why. Why am I still an artist? Why am I helping others to connect to themselves, to be embodied? I want to keep refining that because it's a part of my own self-discovery and self-journey. And then I want to create more work that impacts more people. So my big dream is to live on a larger stage, I want to create more plays. I want to dance more. I want to move into film and TV. I want to speak on stages that allow me to speak to thousands of people. I want to inspire others to connect with themselves so that they can connect with others. And all the while while doing all of this, I would also like to balance that life, those goals, those very lofty goals, with a really, really good home life. I really want to balance between my work and my home. I have, as a mother now, my big dream is to be is for my daughter to both look up to me and to also really know me. So that requires time, and that requires time with her. So my big dream is to have time to be an artist and to be a mother, to be a wife, to be a friend, and to have them all live in harmony with each other.
Do you look up to somebody for inspiration?
In particular, I think I have lots of different sources of inspiration, but I don't think there's one person who has it all and who's had it all for so long. I think as women, this is maybe the first or second generation where we are even allowed to dream bigger than to have just a family or just a job. You know, we're in this generation now where we're like, how do we have both? We want both. How do we have both? We have so much choice, but in that choice, it's so easy to get lost in that choice. It's so easy to then come up lacking in all the areas. So this holistic approach is something that is, I think, being tried out by so many people right now. And it's like we're all in like this like maze trying to like figure out how to make it work. And what I think, instead of looking to somebody, to one person who was like conquered this maze and is like really good at it, what instead I'm doing is I'm looking out to my networks and my community. It's almost like I just like pop over and look at their maze and go like, hey, do you know if it's a left turn or a right turn next? And they're like, I think it's a left. And I'm like, cool. So then I go that way. And I think we're all trying to figure it out together. That is both scary because there's no blueprint. But it's also really inspiring, and it makes me feel supported knowing that I'm a part of a massive group of women who is doing it all right now, all together. And our voices are getting louder and our exposure is getting larger. Right.
Yeah. Going back to what you mentioned about being in a maze.
Yes.
And looking at the point where you are right now, do you have any regrets looking back?
Regrets.
Can I rephrase it a little bit?
Yeah,
So,
sure.
like, I have a similar question.
Yeah.
And I guess mine's more speaking to your entrepreneurial experience.
Yes.
What would you have done differently if you could go back in time? Or maybe as an artist as well. But yeah.
Oh, there's so many things I would have told myself. I would have been like, chill out, Andrea. It's going to be okay. Like the decision that you make now is not like life changing. It's okay. Like you'll have every moment after this to reinvent yourself, to reinvigorate, to redefine and refine your skills. So I think that when we're in the moment, we always think it's like life and death, everything. We're like, oh, if I do this, then it will, pave the way for the rest of my life. And if I don't, I will die of disaster alone with my cats. Like it's very dramatic, every decision. But if we think back to 10 years ago or 5 years ago, could you have possibly known where you were going to be now? I don't think so. I think every decision, there's like the next moment is a moment to make a new decision. And I try to remember that now. And I think I would have loved to have told myself from a place of experiencing it that you can chill out. But I will say that another thing I would have told myself is some hobbies that you have are not businesses. And some hobbies should remain hobbies. I don't regret trying to make them businesses. I will give one example. I love to doodle. And I love to doodle so much. It helps me concentrate. It helps me, just express myself. I love doodling. And I doodled so much that I started to create these like giant doodles. And they became these like massive images that I started selling because people were like, wow, those are really beautiful. You should sell those. And I was like, okay. okay. And so I started to get commissions. I started to take commissions, and these doodles, these drawings of mine, these illustrations were so delicate, so small. All of the work was like so tiny, just the style of my work, that it would like, it takes hours and hours and hours and hours and hours to create the scale of which I was interested in. And I started to get commissions, and I hated it. I hated it. I hated creating to sell it, to give it to someone. I was like racked with nerves the entire time. I was like drawing and I was like shaking because I was nervous. What if they didn't like it? What if, you know, all this. And it had started as this hobby that it grounded me and connected me to myself. It was a lovely way to feel calm. And as a business, it like did the exact opposite to me. And so I stopped. You know, I stopped because I realized that you have to want to do this stuff all the time if it's going to be a business. And of course, you know, you're not going to enjoy everything in your business all the time, but there has to be a balance there where you're willing to, you know, do some of the stuff that makes you uncomfortable, or some of the stuff that's hard, like building a website or whatever isn't your easiest thing that you can do,
Right.
while also really enjoying some of the work. So I think I would have told myself, yeah, like not all your hobbies need to be businesses, Andrea. Yeah.
Gotcha. Have you ever thought of getting into film? Do you have any plans of getting into film?
Oh, yeah. So another one of the things that I did as I was sort of discovering my artist journey, I started acting a little bit. And it was one of those things that I was like, I don't want to do this professionally. So it was one of those knowings. But film and writing, absolutely. I would love to write for film. I would love to write for TV. I think that might be a direction that I'm moving in. I have big stories and lots of stories to tell. And I think that some of the stories that I have are best suited for film and TV mediums as opposed to on a stage. Yeah. So I'll keep you posted.
Please. Thank you.
Oh yeah, that's fantastic. I'm just wondering because the answer to Bea's question and my question as well, that made me think. Do you have any advice for those young Filipino Canadian artists out there who would like to venture into business, who would like to commercialize their craft? Any piece of advice that you have for them so that you know they could avoid any pitfalls and in a way their vista towards the future would be smoother because you've been there, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think I'll speak to what I think makes a really great what really makes a great artist from a theater point of view or from a writer point of view. I think it's just about keep practicing. I think you have to practice so much. You have to keep writing. If you're a writer, you have to partake in your craft. If you're an actor, keep acting. If you're an illustrator, keep illustrating. As an artist, the selling of the work, the selling of the work, yes, for sure, you have to do that, but you have to take a lot of time to create and refine your voice. And so finding your voice as an artist will allow you to be more marketable. You know, it's so keep practicing, build a network, and then just like take the next step. So an artist creating at home and never putting it out there, you're going to be an artist in your own home for the rest of your life. So I think the other side of the coin for being an artist is that none of your work is going to be perfect ever. You are, as a writer, you're always going to be like, I don't like that ending. It's no, I'll do a different ending. But there's a point at which you have to say, I'm done, and it's good enough to be put out in the world. So to make yourself, or to start to make money from your art, you have to take the leap into putting it out into the world, putting it out into the world and continuing to put it out into the world. That's what you need to do to start being a marketable artist.
Yep. Again, I'm just wondering. I'm not very familiar with the art industry here in Canada because I'm an immigrant, right? Yeah, but in other countries, the art industry is structured in a way that there are agents, there are brokers, there are people that you could actually approach to market your craft. And here in Canada, is there a group of people that artists like you or others out there could just go to and ask if this, marketers or brokers or agents can help them market their products? And does it make sense to get engaged with these people?
I can't speak to, I think brokers and agents, in the way that you're speaking about it, is more towards like a visual artist, I imagine. It's more clear cut. But for sure, as a writer or as an actor, you can find yourself an agent. They will always want to see if you have any kind of work that you have to have some sort of work to be able to approach an agent, or you will have to go to school. Let's say one of the sort of clear-cut paths in theater is to go to school for theater at a university or a college, and then you get an agent out of that because you have like student showcases and things like that. So you have a body of work to show. But outside of that, I didn't do that. So I don't know if I can speak to exactly how to get, how to go that traditional route. But to answer your question, I think, again, you have to find ways to build a body of work so that you can then approach either agencies, or you can approach, an agent, or you can approach granting bodies to give you money for your work. Lots of artists right now, I think if you have a product-based business, you can put your products up online and sell them right away. You can enter art fairs. You can you can go to different showcases that you can exhibit your products. So for artisans, this is definitely a pathway. But for writers or for theater artists, it's a little bit of a different path. You have to get involved in the theater community. So go see work. Go find companies. There are so many theater companies that are putting out really interesting work. Start to get to know their bodies of work. Start to understand what you're interested in, what kind of art, what kind of theater you're interested in. There's lots of different types of theater. So find the theater companies and the theater artists that you're in alignment with, and reach out to those companies, reach out to those artists, build a network of people who are also like-minded and want to support you in creating, in helping you define and redefine your work as well.
Okay. Bea, I'm just wondering if you're able to capture some questions or comments from our listeners.
Yeah, so someone has asked, do you find that your audience, of your students, or I guess your clients, have there been a lot of Filipinos or who are, I guess, interested in the arts, at least in Toronto?
Absolutely. I am a part of the theater community of Filipino artists here in Toronto, and definitely market heavily to Filipinos. When we put our play Through the Bamboo up in the Fringe Festival, the Philippine consulate in Toronto, they brought like 50 people, so we're in touch with them. We were on many of the Filipino newspapers to market to. We did interviews, TV interviews for Filipino channels. We really wanted to create work for Filipinos by Filipinos. It was very important to us and very important in our body of work. So yes, there is a market of Filipinos available to you as an artist. There is also a really, really supportive network of Filipino artists. If you're a young Filipino artist, you can look at places like Kapisanan Center. That's a really great center for artists. I think I'll stop there. I think that's a good place to start.
Good. Yeah, we pick up a lot of things from you. Isn't that right, Bea?
Yeah, I have one last question.
Yeah, sure.
That's fine. Okay. So many artists from different art forms say that being honest and being truthful is the core of art. As an entrepreneur yourself, do you find that sometimes you have to veer away from truth and honesty sometimes to market your art?
What a fascinating question. I'll answer like this, that your art is it's very personal. Your art is very personal, and if you have it depends on what you want to do with your art, you know. So I always say be honest about your art. I think when we're honest as artists, we create discussion, we create and provoke. And I think that's a really a big job of an artist is to provoke. And so we must be honest. We must tell hard truths in art. And there is and has always been an audience ready to hear difficult truths. There is limits to all of what I'm saying. That you can't just be like, I'm not saying to that marketing your art shouldn't have an angle to it. Like I think you need to market your art with an angle. You need to look to your audience and be like, what is it that they need? Does my art service that need in some way? Can I talk about my art so that they understand it? I think when we are talking about art and we're talking about an audience, I will always say that I like to meet my audience where they are, and then help them along to where I am, or offer to invite them along to where I am. I don't expect people to just meet me where I am.
Yeah, that's what they say about artists, right? Artists are history makers. They are the ones who are innovators, actually, right? And we could see that even during the Renaissance time. Yeah. So, because the Renaissance was actually created by artists during the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
About provocation.
World history. Yeah, thank you so much, Andrea, for such an inspiring story. Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of our young artist kababayans out there are encouraged to market their craft and discovering one skills where they are good at and their passion. They are significant resource capital to build a business. So,
thank you.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Andrea. That's really, very inspiring and very encouraging for our audience out there. I myself is actually inspired by your story. So, okay.
It's an honor for me to be here. Thank you so much. And to everyone and to anyone who is out there who is interested in being an artist, I say, go do it.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Andrea. And I could almost see everyone nodding their heads and embracing the inspiring words that you said that would hopefully inspire them to set up their own business. And as I said earlier, this is just the second session. We have more lined up for you in the next days. And moving forward, tomorrow evening at 5:30 p.m., we will hear from another young Filipino-Canadian entrepreneur. And let me call Bea to tell us more about tomorrow's session.
Yes, so we invite you to tune in again tomorrow at 5:30. I'm very excited to be interviewing a dear friend who I actually went to school with back in Manila. So I've known her for more than 10 years. She's an early childhood educator, and we will be talking about how she has turned her side hustle into a profitable skincare business as she is a full-time childhood educator. So yeah, see you tomorrow.
And then also on Monday, February 22nd at 5:30 p.m., do not miss the lecture on how to find support in starting your business from the federal, provincial, and municipal governments, including private NGOs and foundations. We will send the announcement about this event soon, so tune in. This will be live streamed as well. And then a more intensive training workshop on entrepreneurship is also lined up. If you would like to start your business or already have an idea and would like to push it to the market, then register to our business startup workshop. This training will be facilitated by Renji Butalid, a Filipino-Canadian entrepreneur and startup ecosystem builder. It will be held on February 23rd, 25th, March 2nd, and 4th at 4 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. This event will not be live streamed and slots are limited, so I encourage you to register at lu.ma/pcc-entrepreneurship. You could see the link on your screen. And yeah, let me just, thank our sponsors. This program is made possible by the generous support from our donors, the Canadian Red Cross and the Employment and Social Development Canada. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Tune in again tomorrow at 5:30 p.m., either by Zoom or Facebook. Bye for now and enjoy your evening. Yeah.